John, talk to me a little bit about what we like to call the drop off a sample and the follow up strategy. What do you recommend for that type of strategy for customization shops?
Yeah, I think the title of this podcast is so perfect. It's like hustling backwards, right? One big thing we always tell folks is always drop off a sample, or at least use our free sell sheets to email them or reach out to them or even print it and drop that off. If you can't drop off, if you can't afford to make physical samples, at least drop that off, right? But I think the way you hustle backwards is when you don't do a follow up.
Mhm.
You drop off these samples. You're thinking that, hey, I dropped this off within an hour, I'm going to get an answer.
Yeah.
That's our expectation,
Living on
right?
a prayer.
Yeah, it's like it's going to come in an hour. I'm going to get that call for like a million tumblers,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't happen, right? It's like a day, it's like 2 days, it's 3 days, and in our mind, we're going like, oh man, like they hated that. That was like my quote was probably too high. My this was too much. My that was too much. And all these assumptions, we just kill ourselves with it. Instead, if you just picked up the phone and be like, hey, my name is, John, I'm calling from MakerFlo. I dropped off these samples. I'd spent some time doing. I researched the company, absolutely loved it. La 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 la. I was wondering if you had the chance, to check out my samples. Maybe we can work together, right? And you realize that, oh yeah, I was like out of town, or the decision maker was out of town. They're gonna be back on Monday, right? And all of a sudden, what you have to realize, and I always say this, is that don't think of all these touch points as a loss. Think of all these touch points as relationship building. The more you talk and touch people, that sounds weird. The more you talk and interact with people, right? You're essentially building a relationship. I'd watched this movie a long time ago, and this always stuck with me. And it said that the relationship between two people is a journey. It never ends. So it's up to you if you give up on it, but it's a journey, right? Between you and I, or between me and Danny, or Sam and I, or whoever I meet, it's up to both of us to maintain and have that journey. So as a salesperson, when you drop that off, you've started this relationship. Treat it like a journey. You have to call and say hi sometimes. You have to say happy birthday sometimes. You have to check up sometimes. And when you build that relationship authentically, you know, it goes a long way for you in the future.
Yeah. I like to look at those drop off samples as a marketing opportunity, not a marketing cost or expense, because it's an opportunity to earn their business, to earn their trust. Okay, what's a $7, $8 item? Maybe you make a luggage tag. It'll cost you a few bucks. Maybe you make a tumbler with their logo on it. Cost you $8 plus your time.
Mhm.
But who else is doing that? Who is really dropping off samples and getting the opportunity to get in front of businesses and get their business? I've never gotten one walking through my door. It's not happening. So it's a very unique opportunity that you have to drop off a real sample, get their logo, vectorize it yourself, put it on a product and drop it off. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, it all comes into the follow up. You can't live on a prayer and expect them to just reach out to you. You need to be the one calling, emailing, send them a digital catalog, use MakerFlo sales sheets to showcase the product again digitally, email that over and be persistent with your communication with them. And eventually you'll get the order, or they might just say, hey, I'm not interested, and you move on. Maybe put them on your back book to call them, in 6 months to a year and follow up, and always keep those point of contacts going.
Yeah, absolutely. And also keep in mind, you never know. They might love your approach. They might love your persistence. And if it's not them, it could be somebody they know.
Mm-hmm.
Keep this in mind. It could be somebody they might recommend you to be like, hey, it's not in my budget, but I know this home builder that would probably love to put a charcuterie board in every home they build.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden you get an order for 200, cutting boards. And again, I'm not saying this out of something I found on ChatGPT. This actually happened. And so, it ended up being 200 cutting boards, not once, but multiple times. Right. And so these things do happen. It's just that you have to be persistent and you have to make sure you're right there when you need them.
Yeah. I think that's the key right there. A lot of these times, once you get the order, this is going to be a repeat client for yours. Once you've got them, now you have to nurture that and get them again for that next year, that next season, that next occasion. And now, boom, your book of business keeps growing because of that one $10 sample you dropped off. And that sample you dropped off with their logo on it, it's not going in the trash
That's correct.
like a flyer or a magazine or anything else. That's going to sit there in their office. They're going to use it. And sooner or later, they're going to be like, you know what? I do need these. And you're going to be top of mind just because your product's sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That excites me.
Yeah. I see that. You got lit up.
Yeah, but it's happened. It's happened in the past for our businesses. We've dropped off samples and we've talked to businesses and we've just let them have the product. And yeah, we follow up, but then maybe 6 months later or a year later, they're like, "Hey, remember this? I do want this now." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And
Can't
it's
believe they came back.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that drop off a sample strategy is super important to really dominate your sales locally, and kind of to wrap up this local sales market and industry. We've touched on this in the past too. I just wanted to reiterate it to get kind of out there in the industry. I recommend joining BNI groups, chambers of commerces, get involved in like your kids' schools and communities, nonprofit opportunities, and really just getting out there as much as possible to connect and build those relationships. Do you have anything else in mind?
No, I think I 100% agree with you. I think it's where the eyes are. Focus on whether you want to do single sales, whether you want to attack businesses, depending on who you want to attack. See where a majority of those people are going, where the foot traffic and the eyes are, and make sure you're focusing, on those things. And don't run around trying to cater to everything. Just focus on one or two things. Focus and do the best you can. Create systems around it. Once you create systems around it, then you can focus on other things and create systems around it. Hire people, and then you slowly start scaling. I think that's the most important thing out of all this. Don't do 20 things, do two things the best you can, create systems, hire people, add two more things, and just keep doing that and keep
Yeah.
scaling it.
So before you try to go nationally, make sure that you're unavoidably locally. That's kind of
100%.
the key term I like to
I,
close that with.
I love that. I love that. I see too many people asking, I don't have enough sales. I'm competing with the biggest, this and that. And if you go check the local market, I think we'd all be shocked on how nobody is dominating it. So
Awesome.